The dinner table erupted in chaos when 9-year-old Tommy slammed his fork down and glared at Arabelle, his stepmom's partner. "Queer people like you go to hell," he spat. His small face twisted in anger learned from somewhere dark. What Jamie, his biological mother, did next, not defending Arabelle but nodding in silent agreement, shattered their fragile family unit, forcing Arabelle to question if love could survive in a home built on hidden bigotry. Arabelle stared at the steaming plate of lasagna in front of her, the cheese bubbling innocently as if nothing had just imploded. Tommy's words hung in the air like smoke from a fire that had been smoldering for years. She glanced at Jamie, expecting outrage, a mother's fierce protection of their blended family. But Jamie's eyes dropped to her lap, her fingers twisting the napkin into knots. "Tommy, that's not nice," she murmured, her voice barely above a whisper. But there was no conviction, no fire. Arabelle's heart plummeted. This wasn't just a kid parroting something from school or TV. This was the poison seeping from the roots of their life together. They had met 3 years ago at a community center in Seattle, where Arabelle volunteered for LGBTQ+ youth programs and Jamie attended parenting workshops. Arabelle, with her no-nonsense attitude honed from years as a high school teacher, had been drawn to Jamie's quiet strength, the way she balanced single motherhood with a demanding job as a nurse. Their first date was simple. A walk along Puget Sound talking about dreams and fears. Jamie had confessed her bisexuality early on, how she'd married young to Tommy's father, a conservative man from a religious family, only for it to end in divorce when she couldn't deny her true self anymore. Arabelle had shared her own story. Coming out in college, losing friends but gaining a sense of freedom. They fell in love slowly, building a life that included Tommy, who at 6 had seemed open, calling Arabelle Auntie at first, then just Arabelle with hugs. But cracks had appeared subtly. Jamie's parents, devout Catholics from a small town in Idaho, visited rarely and always with tight smiles. They'd whisper about lifestyles and influences on Tommy. Arabelle brushed it off, thinking time would heal. Now, as Tommy crossed his arms defiantly, echoing sentiments that sounded eerily like his grandparents, Arabelle realized the healing hadn't happened. "Where did you hear that, buddy?" Arabelle asked, keeping her tone steady though her pulse raced. Tommy shrugged. "Grandpa said it. And at church camp last summer." Jamie finally looked up, her blue eyes pleading. "Arabelle, he's just a kid. He doesn't understand." But the way she said it felt like a deflection, not a defense. That night, after Tommy was tucked in with a story, Arabelle reading it as always, her voice strained, the two women sat on the couch in their cozy living room, the one they decorated with photos of the three of them at parks and holidays. "We need to talk about this," Arabelle said, her hand reaching for Jamie's. Jamie pulled away slightly, a gesture that stung like a slap. "My parents. They've been talking to him more. Calling him without me knowing." Arabelle's jaw tightened. "And you didn't stop it?" Jamie sighed, rubbing her temples. "They're family, Arabelle. I can't just cut them off. Tommy needs grandparents." The argument escalated, voices low but sharp. Arabelle accused Jamie of enabling hate. Jamie countered that Arabelle was overreacting, that kids say stupid things. By midnight, they slept back to back, the bed a chasm. The next morning, Arabelle woke to the smell of coffee and the sound of Jamie on the phone. "Yes, Mom, I know. But Arabelle is good to him." A pause. "No, I don't think it's confusing him. Please just give it time." Arabelle lingered in the doorway, watching Jamie's shoulders slump. When the call ended, Jamie turned, forcing a smile. "They're worried, that's all." Arabelle nodded, but doubt gnawed at her. She headed to work, teaching history to sophomores, lecturing on civil rights while her own life felt like a battlefield. During lunch, she texted her best friend, Sarah, a fellow lesbian who'd navigated similar family dramas. "Kid dropped a bomb last night. Jamie didn't back me up." Sarah's reply, "Ouch. Talk it out. But don't ignore red flags." Back home, Tommy was unusually quiet, drawing at the kitchen table. Arabelle sat beside him. "Hey, about what you said. Why do you think that?" He looked up, innocent eyes wide. "Because God says so. Grandpa read it in the Bible." Arabelle swallowed hard, choosing words carefully. "People interpret the Bible differently. Love is love, Tommy. Me and your mom, we love each other." He frowned, then shrugged and went back to drawing. Jamie watched from the doorway, her expression unreadable. That evening, as they prepared dinner together, Jamie admitted, "I grew up with that stuff. It's hard to shake." Arabelle nodded, but inside fear bloomed. What if Jamie couldn't shake it? What if this family was a house of cards? Over the next week, tension simmered. Arabelle suggested family therapy. Jamie hesitated, citing cost and time. Tommy's school called. He'd gotten into a fight defending his real family. Arabelle picked him up, listening to his tearful explanation. "The kids said you and Mom are weird." On the drive home, Arabelle explained diversity gently, but Tommy tuned out. That night, Jamie's parents announced a surprise visit. Arabelle braced herself, knowing this could be the tipping point. As they arrived, laden with gifts for Tommy, their eyes skimmed over Arabelle like she was furniture. Dinner was polite but strained. When Tommy repeated his hell comment casually, Grandpa nodded approvingly. "That's right, son. The good book doesn't lie." Jamie said nothing, her fork clinking against the plate. Arabelle excused herself, heart pounding, wondering if silence was betrayal. The visit dragged on. Grandma pulled Jamie aside for girl talk, emerging with Jamie looking pale. Later in bed, Jamie confessed, "They want me to think about Tommy's future. College, marriage. They say our life might hold him back." Arabelle sat up. "And what do you say?" Jamie's tears fell. "I don't know. I love you, but he's my son." The words cut deep, exposing the fault lines. Arabelle lay awake, realizing love alone might not be enough. The next day, as the grandparents left, Grandpa shook Tommy's hand. "Remember what we talked about?" Arabelle watched, a knot in her stomach. This wasn't just prejudice, it was a campaign. Weeks turned into a fragile routine, but the undercurrent of unease never faded. Arabelle threw herself into work, organizing a school event for Pride Month, channeling her frustration into advocacy. Jamie noticed, commenting one evening as they washed dishes, "You're pulling away." Arabelle paused, suds dripping from her hands. "Am I? Or are you pushing?" The accusation hung, leading to another hushed argument. Jamie defended her inaction. "Confronting my parents means losing them. They've been there through everything, the divorce, Tommy's birth." Arabelle countered, "But they're tearing us apart. Choose, Jamie. Us or them." It was the first time she'd issued an ultimatum, and it tasted bitter. Tommy, sensing the rift, acted out more. Bedtime stories became battles. He refused Arabelle's hugs. One afternoon, Arabelle found him in his room, staring at a family photo from before. Him, Jamie, and his dad. "Do you miss your dad?" Arabelle asked softly. Tommy nodded. "He says you're okay, but Grandpa doesn't." Arabelle's ex-husband, Mark, was surprisingly supportive, having moved on with his own life. But the grandparents' influence loomed larger. That night, Arabelle suggested a family outing to rebuild bonds. A hike in the Olympic National Park. Jamie agreed eagerly, perhaps too eagerly, as if grasping at normalcy. The hike started promisingly. Laughter echoing through the trees, Tommy racing ahead. But at a scenic overlook, Tommy pointed at two women holding hands on the trail. "Are they going to hell too?" he asked loudly. Hikers nearby glanced over. Arabelle felt heat rise in her cheeks. Jamie shushed him quickly. "Tommy, no." But later, alone on a bench, Jamie admitted, "I worry he's right sometimes. What if we're damaging him?" Arabelle's world tilted. "You think our love is damage?" The hike ended in silence, the drive home heavy with unspoken words. Back in Seattle, Arabelle sought solace in therapy. Her counselor, Dr. Ellis, a wise woman in her 50s, listened patiently. "This is about more than Tommy's words. It's Jamie's internal conflict." Arabelle nodded, tears stinging. "She loves me, but her upbringing. It's like a ghost." Dr. Ellis suggested couples counseling, but when Arabelle proposed it, Jamie balked. "We don't need outsiders." Instead, Jamie called her parents more, seeking advice that only deepened the divide. One evening after Tommy's soccer practice, Arabelle overheard Jamie on the phone. "Yes, Mom, I'm thinking about it. For Tommy's sake." Arabelle's blood ran cold. Confronting her later, Jamie broke down. They want us to move closer to them. Get Tommy into a better school away from influences. Arabelle exploded. Influences? You mean me? The fight was their worst yet, voices raised, Tommy peeking from his room. Jamie stormed out, driving to a friend's house. Alone with Tommy, Arabelle made popcorn and watched cartoons, but the boy was distant. Mom's mad at you, he said. Arabelle sighed. Sometimes grown-ups disagree. Jamie returned late, eyes red. I can't lose my family. Arabelle's heart ached. Which family? Them or us? The question lingered, unanswered. The next day, Arabelle confided in Sarah over coffee. It's like she's choosing blood over us. Sarah hugged her. Give her time but protect yourself. Arabelle nodded but resolve hardened. She began researching legal rights for step-parents, fearing the worst. Tension peaked at Tommy's birthday party. Friends and family gathered in their backyard, balloons bobbing. Jamie's parents attended, their presence like a storm cloud. Midway through cake, Grandpa pulled Tommy aside, handing him a Bible with highlighted passages. Arabelle watched, fuming. When Tommy showed her a verse about abominations, she gently closed the book. Love isn't abomination, kiddo. Grandpa overheard, confronting Arabelle. You're confusing him. Jamie intervened weakly. Dad, please. But the damage was done. Guests whispered, the party soured. That night, as cleanup wrapped, Jamie sat Arabelle down. We need space. Arabelle's stomach dropped. Space from what? Jamie's voice trembled. From this pressure. Maybe. Separate for a bit. Felt like a betrayal, a choice made. Arabelle packed a bag, heading to Sarah's couch. Lying awake, she replayed every moment, wondering where love had faltered. The separation was meant to be temporary, but texts grew sparse. Jamie focused on Tommy, attending church with her parents, who celebrated the progress. Arabelle threw herself into activism, speaking at local events about family acceptance. One night at a panel, she shared her story anonymously, the crowd's empathy a balm. But returning to Sarah's, loneliness hit hard. She missed Jamie's laugh, Tommy's energy. A weekend, Jamie called. Tommy asks about you. Arabelle's hope flickered. And you? Silence. I miss you, but I need to figure this out. The call ended ambiguously, leaving Arabelle in limbo. The separation stretched into a month, each day a grind for Arabelle. She rented a small apartment downtown, filling it with books and plants to combat the emptiness. Work became her anchor, but students noticed her distraction. Ms. Rivera, you okay? One asked. Arabelle forced a smile. Just life, kid. Privately, she journaled her turmoil. The love she felt for Jamie clashing with the pain of conditional acceptance. Jamie, meanwhile, navigated her own storm. Living with Tommy in their house felt hollow without Arabelle's presence. Her parents visited often, praising her return to sense. But at night, doubts crept in. Tommy's questions, when's Arabelle coming back? Pierced her. She attended therapy secretly, Dr. Patel challenging her. What do you believe, Jamie? Not your parents. Jamie wrestled with memories. Her stifled youth, marrying Mark to fit in, the joy of discovering her true self with Arabelle. One afternoon, Tommy came home from school upset. Kids say our family's broken. Jamie hugged him. We're not broken. Just figuring things out. But inside, she knew the separation was fracturing them. She reached out to Mark, Tommy's dad, who lived in Portland. He's confused, Mark said neutrally. But Arabelle was good for you both. Don't let your folks dictate. His words echoed, stirring rebellion. Arabelle, seeking closure or connection, agreed to a coffee meetup. They sat in a bustling cafe, the aroma of espresso masking awkwardness. How's Tommy? Arabelle asked. Jamie's eyes softened. He misses you. Draws pictures of us hiking. Arabelle nodded, throat tight. I miss him too. Miss us. Jamie reached across the table. I thought space would clarify, but it's muddier. They talked for hours, unpacking hurts. Jamie admitted her fear. Losing Tommy to custody battles if her parents pushed. Arabelle shared her anger at being sidelined. By the end, a tentative hug promised more talks. But progress halted when Jamie's mother fell ill. A minor stroke. Jamie rushed to Idaho, Tommy in tow. There, immersed in family, old patterns resurfaced. Her parents preached forgiveness, but only for sins repented. Jamie nodded along but internally rebelled. One night, overhearing her father tell Tommy, "Your mom's making the right choice now," she snapped. "What choice?" "Leaving the woman I love." The confrontation escalated, voices echoing in the hospital waiting room. Her mother, from her bed, pleaded peace. But Jamie stormed out, driving back to Seattle with Tommy asleep in the back. Arriving home, she called Arabelle. "I need you." Arabelle arrived within the hour, finding Jamie in tears. "They want me to choose them or hell." Arabelle held her. "Then choose us." They reconciled that night, bodies close but minds cautious. Tommy woke to find Arabelle making breakfast, his face lighting up. "You're back." The family hugged, but Arabelle sensed fragility. Rebuilding wasn't easy. They enrolled in couples therapy, Dr. Ellis guiding them through exercises. Jamie confronted her internalized homophobia, rooted in childhood sermons. Arabelle worked on patience, understanding Jamie's divided loyalties. Tommy joined kids' sessions, learning about diverse families through books and talks. School improved. He defended his two moms to friends. But society intruded. At a neighborhood block party, whispers followed them. "Poor kid, confused." Jamie bristled, defending publicly for the first time. "Our family's strong." Arabelle beamed, but challenges mounted. Jamie's job faced scrutiny when a coworker outed her orientation to a conservative boss, leading to subtle discrimination. Missed shifts, overlooked promotions. The climax brewed when Jamie's parents demanded a visit. "For Mom's recovery," they said. Jamie agreed, but with conditions. No preaching. They arrived tense. Dinner was civil until Grandpa asked Tommy about church. "We go sometimes," Tommy said. "But Arabelle says love is okay." Grandpa's face reddened. "Arabelle is wrong." Jamie stood. "No, Dad. You're wrong. If you can't accept us, leave." The room froze. Her mother gasped. Her father argued scripture. Jamie held firm. "This is my family. Take it or leave." They left angrily, vowing to pray for her soul. The fallout was immediate. Jamie's phone buzzed with accusatory texts from relatives. "You're abandoning us for sin." She blocked numbers, but the emotional toll mounted. At work, the discrimination escalated. Her boss denied a raise, citing performance issues. Jamie filed a complaint, but the process was grueling, requiring statements and meetings. Arabelle supported her, attending HR sessions, but worry etched lines on her face. Tommy struggled too. School friends teased. He came home with a black eye from a scuffle. "They called you dykes." Arabelle and Jamie sat him down, explaining hate but emphasizing pride. "We're a team," Arabelle said. Tommy nodded, but his innocence dimmed. Family therapy intensified. Dr. Ellis praising their progress but warning of backslides. Arabelle faced her own battles. At school, a parent complained about her agenda in lessons, citing pride events. The principal backed her, but the scrutiny stung. One evening, exhausted, Arabelle snapped at Jamie over dinner. "This is the price?" Constant fight. Jamie's eyes welled. "Is it worth it?" The question hung, testing their bond. They argued, rehashing old hurts, but ended in apologies, reaffirming commitment. A turning point came at a local LGBTQ+ rally. Jamie, inspired by Arabelle's activism, spoke on stage about her journey. From denial to defiance. "I almost lost everything to fear. But love won." The crowd cheered. Tommy watched proudly. Media picked up the story. A local paper featuring them as a family fighting prejudice. Support poured in, letters, donations for therapy. But backlash followed. Online trolls, anonymous calls. Their home felt under siege. Jamie wavered one night, scrolling hate comments. "What if they're right? What if I'm hurting Tommy?" Arabelle knelt before her. "Look at him. He's happy, learning empathy. That's not hurt." Jamie nodded, but doubt lingered. The next day, Mark visited, offering co-parenting advice. "You're doing good." Ignore the noise. His endorsement bolstered Jamie. As summer faded, Jamie's mother reached out tentatively. I miss my grandson. Jamie met her halfway, in a neutral cafe. Accept us all or nothing. Her mother tearfully agreed to try, attending a family dinner weeks later. It was awkward small talk skirting religion, but a start. Grandpa stayed away, his absence a quiet victory. Yet, mending brought new conflicts. Jamie's promotion came through after the complaint, but with resentment from colleagues. Arabelle's school event succeeded, but she lost a friend who sided with the complaining parent. Tommy thrived, joining a diverse kids club, but occasional nightmares revealed trauma. In therapy, they dissected decisions. Jamie's initial silence as a survival mechanism, Arabelle's ultimatum as self-preservation. Every choice has a cost, Dr. Ellis said. They paid in tears, sleepless nights, but gained resilience. One crisp fall day, at the same park where they'd first walked, Arabelle proposed properly, with a ring. Through hell or high water. Jamie accepted, tears of joy. Tommy cheered, tossing leaves. The family felt whole, but scars remained. The wedding was intimate, in a Seattle garden under blooming cherry trees. Friends and Mark attended. Jamie's mother came alone, her smile genuine if tentative. Vows exchanged, they promised to face storms together. Tommy bore the rings, beaming. Honeymoon was a family trip to Hawaii beaches, laughter, healing. But reality intruded upon return. Jamie's father sent a letter. Repent before it's too late. She burned it, but the words haunted. At work, a new policy favored inclusivity, thanks partly to her advocacy. Arabelle's school adopted better diversity training. Tommy excelled, his art depicting my moms heroically. Yet, doubts surfaced in quiet moments. Jamie wondered if cutting ties was too harsh. Arabelle questioned if forgiveness came too easy. Society's gaze lingered. Stares at PDA meetings, hushed comments. They countered with community, joining support groups, volunteering. One evening over wine, Jamie reflected. I almost chose fear. Arabelle squeezed her hand. But you chose us. Tommy, eavesdropping, chimed in. I'm glad. Hell sounds boring anyway. They laughed, the moment light amid heaviness. As years hinted at passing, Tommy turning 10, the family stronger, the story's core remained. Choices define us. Jamie's stand saved them, but at what cost? Lost kin battled bias, reshaped souls. Was Jamie's decision to confront her family's prejudice the ultimate act of love? Or did it irreparably fracture bonds that could have mended with time?